Hi, I'm Greg Dell with Attorneys Dell Schaefer, and I'm here with attorney Rachel Alters, and we're going to discuss how to protect your Prudential disability insurance claim once your benefits have been approved, as well as the monthly claim handling service we offer in which we monitor and handle every aspect of your claim for you. So, Rachel, one of the most important things with a Prudential long-term disability claim is continuing to prove your medical support.
Right.
How does a claimant go about doing that?
Well, it's very important because the insurance carrier really looks for a claimant that's treating frequently with their treating doctors. So a claimant needs to make sure that they're going to the doctor at least every 3 months. When a claimant says to me, hey, my doctor tells me that there's really nothing they can do for me, is it okay if I go once a year? I usually tell them no. For the purposes of the case, you need to treat every 3 months. So they need to make sure they're treating, number one, and being very upfront with their physicians about what's going on with them, what pain they're having, restrictions and limitations they have, so that the doctors are documenting that in the records.
Okay. Why is the medical support so important for a claimant with Prudential?
Well, Prudential relies almost, not solely, but mostly on what's contained in the medical records. So your treating physician could write a letter or fill out an attending physician statement stating very clearly that you're not able to work in your occupation or any occupation due to your disability. And if the medical records don't coincide with that, if they don't support exactly what's in the letter or in the attending physician statement, Prudential still won't approve the claim or could deny it. So the medical records are really, really important, and it's important to have the conversation with your treating doctor that they do need to document carefully and be very descriptive of what's going on with you.
Okay, so that was the last thing you said, super important, about having that conversation with the doctor about the fact that you're on disability. Because, Rach, as you know, these doctors, they treat the patient, not the chart, right, and they build relationships with their patients, and unfortunately, they don't transcribe into the records all of the complaints of their patient because they know their patient pretty well, and then the patient doesn't insist that all of the complaints get into the records, and the doctor doesn't really know that there's an insurance company that's going to request the records at some point in time and talk about all of the delinquencies or lack of information in the medical records that would document the complaints that the claimant's telling Prudential. Because the claimant's saying, I have these 10 things wrong with me, and then they go to the medical records and there's 2 of them in there. Right. So tips as to how the claimant can get this information into the records, and some things that I tell my clients are, keep a pain journal. Keep it for a daily basis. Bring your 30, 60, 90-day pain journal in. We offer a free one on our website that a claimant can download and then use that as a guide. Or just take a sheet and a calendar and write down, this is how I felt today, this was a flare that I had, this is what bothered me, this is when I had to take a nap, this is when I was fatigued. Any type of symptoms that person was experiencing. The other thing is just before you go to the doctor, write a summary of these have been my symptoms and ask the doctor to either read that into the record, right, or attach it to the medical record so that there's no inconsistencies when it comes to Prudential looking at the claim. Now, with regard to maintaining your status on claim, Prudential's regularly going to ask for claim forms. Talk about how you work with a client to fill out those claim forms and don't rely on the limited space that Prudential usually gives a claimant.
Right. Usually the claim forms, if you look at them, there's a line, maybe 2 lines, asking what your restrictions and limitations are, what the diagnoses are, what your activities of daily living, what your hobbies are, all of that. They give you like a line because they really don't want you to provide specific information. They would almost rather have less. So what I tell my clients is, you can always add a page to the end. You can type up a paragraph, even a full page, describing what your pain is, what your symptoms are, the things that you aren't able to do, what your activities of daily living are, and if you're able to handle those, if you need help shopping, and if you need help bathing, all that stuff comes into play. And a lot of times, my clients at least need explanation of, extenuating circumstances, and you can always add that to the back.
Now, Prudential is one of the companies that at some point during the claim usually comes when they have that change of definition, which goes from the own occupation to any gainful occupation, which is usually after being paid for 24 months of benefits. they'll send their kind of activity of daily living's questionnaire, which is like 7 or 8 pages, where they want to know the educational background, and then they ask questions literally like, how long can you travel in the car? How long do you drive? How long do you walk for? I mean, they ask actually much more detailed stuff than most carriers, but at the same token, you have to know how to answer those particular questions so that you don't get yourself caught in their trap.
Right.
Now, how does Prudential try to catch a claimant in a trap? What tools do they rely upon from your experience?
What they often do is they'll send this form, like you discussed, the activities of daily living form or the education form, and they want to know specifically how long can you sit, how long can you stand, how long can you drive in a car. They may ask you if you travel. There's a lot of specific questions they ask. And if the client is very specific on, I could never sit in a car for more than an hour, I can never stand for more than 15 minutes, I can't walk for more than 20, and they will follow them with surveillance after they get the form to verify if this is true. So everybody knows that, even people who aren't disabled, but especially people who are disabled, have good days and bad days. So on a good day, some of my clients are able to walk for half an hour or 40 minutes.
Right.
But on a bad day, they're in bed all day. And 9 times out of 10, the insurance carrier will follow a surveillance and they catch my clients on their good days. It just, for some reason, they get lucky or they follow them for long enough that they finally catch them on a good day. And they see them doing something like driving in a car for 2 hours or sitting in a movie for 2.5 hours. And if they've claimed that they cannot do that ever, then it's a reason for them to deny the claim. And they will. They will deny based on some information that you provided that maybe wasn't completely accurate.
Right, and then Prudential may want to do an interview with the claimant, which of course we would attend or attend telephonically and prep the claimant extensively for this interview so that they don't have anything to worry about. The other issue that I want to discuss on Prudential claims that comes up a lot is the limited space in the attending physician statement. And how does a claimant go about getting their doctor to fill it out in a sufficient manner so that they can avoid claim denial?
Right, well, there's many things that can be done. Sometimes it depends on the doctors, but oftentimes a doctor will want to write their own letter, a narrative on their stationery stating what, the patient's issues are, their medical history, and then their opinion that the patient can no longer work in their occupation. They can add this and attach it to the attending physician statement. What we do is when the doctors fill them out, we specifically make sure they send them back to us. We really are very clear, do not send this back to the insurance carrier because we do want to read it, because any mistakes on that attending physician statement could be the end of the claim. So we make sure that, and if they're not how we like it, if they're not worded the way we want it, then we will send it back to the doctor and ask them to revise it. And they often will do that for us, just to make sure that the claim doesn't get denied because a doctor put a wrong date or didn't put something correctly in the form.
One of the most common reasons for denial is the change of definition.
Right.
And that usually happens at the 24 months of disability. When the claim will get denied, and they may notify the claimant several months before that they're going to be denied based upon a change in definition.
Right.
That being the case, when should a claimant start making sure that their file has sufficient support to get them past this change in definition?
I usually tell them that at least 6 months before the change of definition occurs to start discussing this with their doctors, because the doctors may have previously been writing, my client or my patient can't do the substantial or material substantial duties of his own occupation. But once it changes, it's can they do any gainful occupation, which is basically sitting at a desk 40 hours a week. The doctor needs to start saying, hey, the client can't do any gainful occupation. And it needs to be throughout the records, and the reasons for that also need to be stated in the records.
Right, and I think important with Prudential is they're one of the companies that commonly does this. I mean, I've had people call me after 20 years of getting paid, now they're being denied.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I've had claimants that have $500 a monthly benefit and they've been on for a while and now they're getting sent for an IME and they're getting denied. And the point of this is that you're never in the clear.
No.
I mean, if God forbid you have a catastrophic accident and you have no legs or no arms or something where it's like so blatantly obvious that there's no way you could go back to work, of course you're in the clear. But the majority of people on claim have pain conditions, which good days and bad days, and they should never feel complacent that Prudential is just accepting the claim, which is why Prudential will pop up out of nowhere. Sometimes they want claim forms every month, 3 months, 6 months, and I have some that want one every year and a half or 2 years. So it just depends, you know, who's on the claim, how much the monthly benefit amount is, and what Prudential really wants to do with the particular claim. So overall, the service we offer, Rachel, which you know, in which we manage the claim, one of the best parts about it is that when we're involved with the claim, no communications whatsoever go to the claimant at all. Everything comes to our office, including the monthly benefit check. So we're responsible to make sure that that check comes in on time. Prudential's not going to cold call the claimant or cold call their doctors without our permission, because we tell them that the claimant's represented and everything must come through our office. The claimant doesn't have to worry if there's no claim forms being requested or nothing's been submitted. And we're also going to make sure that that claimant's keeping up with their medical treatment. And every couple months, we're going to review those medical records and make sure that there's no problems in there that could result in a claim denial. So all of these types of services that we offer for a flat monthly fee in which we become a vested partner in your claim to make sure that the benefits continue to be paid to you. And if you're getting paid, then we're getting paid. So everybody is happy, and we have the incentive to do as much work as needed in order to keep that benefit coming. So the first step to get started with us and determine whether or not we even think we can help you is to either give Rachel a call or myself. We'll ask you to email us a copy of your policy. You can also contact us through the free consultation button on our website. Upon receiving your policy or calling us, we'll have an initial free phone consultation. All of our clients are all over the country. When we speak to you, we'll let you know right away if we can help you, and we appreciate you considering our law firm.